Sir Thomas Sean Connery is one of the most recognized, applauded, and loved actors of all time. He was the original James Bond, and has delivered countless cinematic masterpieces over the years. From The Untouchables, which won him an Academy Award and a Golden Globe, to The Name of the Rose, which won him a BAFTA Award, to German Film Awards and a European Film Award. More recently, Sean Connery received the AFI Lifetime Achievement Award in 2006. Connery acted in 7 Bond films, which made him a global star before he called it quits to move on to other projects. While such a decision may have hurt someone else's career, it worked out well for Connery. So one could say, contrary to popular belief, the man maketh the role and not vice versa, or at least in this case. Sir Connery retired from the big screen in 2006, much to the disappointment of fans worldwide. As Sean Connery turns 90 this year, let's go over some lesser-known, interesting facts about him. He's tried a lot of odd jobs. As of today, Sean Connery's net worth is a whopping $300 million, but his early days were not as financially sound. Connery was born to Joseph Connery, a factory worker, and Euphemia McLean, a cleaning lady, in Edinburgh, Scotland in 1930. The family was so poor that Sean had to sleep in a wardrobe drawer as a baby since they couldn't buy a crib. Sean claims he didn't realize they were poor until much later in life, since everyone around was just as impoverished. As a teenager, Sir Connery tried many jobs, including, but not limited to, a milkman around Edinburgh, a lorry driver, a life model at the Edinburgh College of Art, a babysitter, a lifeguard, a laborer, anti-aircraft gunner in the Scottish Navy, a doorman, and even a coffin polisher at J&T Scott. He loved playing soccer, and he was good at it. Sean loved soccer and would often play when he was younger. Back in the 50s, he played many roles as extras in the theater and was part of the South Pacific production. He and some members of the production played a game against a team in Manchester, and as luck would have it, one of the scouts for Manchester United was there for the game and spotted him. The scout later offered Connery a contract, who decided to turn it down with a heavy heart. While he loved soccer, he made a calculated decision for the future. After all, even the best professional footballers see themselves at the end of their careers by around 30, and Connery was already 23 at the time the offer was made. Luckily for him and us, Connery stuck to his dream of becoming a successful actor, and it paid off. He fought bad guys off-screen as well. When faced by a mobster at gunpoint, what would you do? Most of us would take the easy way and try to smooth things over, but this is not Connery's style. Back in 1958, Connery starred in the melodrama Another Time, Another Place with Lana Turner, the American beauty who had won many hearts, one of which was that of the mobster Johnny Stompanato. With the film's release, rumors of Connery's alleged affair with Turner were everywhere. Stompanato was obviously displeased and chose a rather straightforward way of expressing himself. He came to the set and threatened Connery at gunpoint, at which point Connery knocked him out with a punch. Of course, in true mob style, Connery received many death threats later, to which he only responded by keeping a low profile till the dust settled. Surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, Stompanato died shortly after this incident, when he was stabbed to death by Turner's daughter when she walked in on him abusing her mother. The case was ruled as a justifiable homicide. He hated being James Bond. While this may come as a surprise, the original James Bond didn't even like the British secret agent role. As the first actor to play the role of James Bond, which is loved even today, one would expect Connery to like the movie franchise. But he grew to despise the part, and even went so far as to say he would kill Bond if he could. In those days, friends and family around him knew he was touchy about the subject and didn't bring it up around him. What made Connery's dislike of the character worse was he had played the role so well, and the movies were such a hit at the box office, that his face was iconic with the name Bond. People in public spaces often pointed to him exclaiming, "James Bond," in excitement. His friends have been quoted saying they understand his aversion to the role, since Connery is a fine actor, and the role of James Bond didn't exactly showcase his skills. What's more, Connery's face became so linked with James Bond, it took him time to break out of the image. He's been voted the sexiest man twice. It's not news that Connery was a heartthrob back in the day. In fact, many would argue he still is. As an official testament to his charm, People magazine named him the sexiest man alive in 1989, when he had most recently wowed audiences with his roles in The Untouchables and Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. A decade later, People named him the sexiest man of the century in 1999, when he was seen on screen in The Avengers and Entrapment. Connery was named the greatest living Scot by Sunday Herald in 2004, and Scotland's greatest living national treasure in 2011. Most of these accolades don't seem to consider Connery's controversial statements from his early acting days. But then again, it's been so long since he made them, then refused to change his stance, and eventually went back on it, that fans seem to have forgotten. Keep watching to know what Connery said to anger women everywhere. Meanwhile, if you're enjoying this video so far, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more interesting facts. He had a close call with live sharks in a pool. While Sean had nothing to do with the Steven Spielberg masterpiece Jaws, he did have a close call that could well have made it into the movie's final cut. For the 1965 Bond film Thunderball, they needed shots of Connery swimming with sharks. The scene required Connery to be in a small pool without any protective gear with live sharks. And of course, like any sane person would be, he was apprehensive. Production designer Ken Adam decided to create a transparent partition with plexiglass to separate Connery from the sharks, and that's how the shoot eventually happened. However, Adam forgot to mention a slight detail. They had run out of plexiglass, and the partition had a gap 4 feet wide. The sharks found the gap, and Connery made a run for it just in time. So if you watch Thunderball and feel like Connery looked authentically afraid during this scene, you know it's because he really was. The entire pool scene was challenging for the cast and crew, and many were in mortal peril while pulling the stunts off, but the end result was worth it. The film eventually won special effects coordinator John Steers an Oscar for Best Visual Effects. He could have played Gandalf. Sean was approached by the Lord of the Rings casting team for the role of Gandalf the Wizard. Had he accepted, not only would we have seen him star in the trilogy, but also the Hobbit series. He turned down the offer since he apparently couldn't understand Gandalf's character, which is probably for the best because now that we've seen Sir Ian McKellen as Gandalf, we can't imagine someone else playing the role. Not only did Connery miss a chance of playing another famous character, but he also missed out on $450 million, if sources are to be believed. In hindsight, it's great he didn't take part since he claims to still not understand the character despite reading the books and watching the movies. He loves retirement. Connery announced his retirement in 2006 when he received the Lifetime Achievement Award from the American Film Institute. While he has often happily claimed he enjoys retirement, during an interview he did mention that one of the reasons he chose to retire was the roles offered to him just weren't attractive anymore. Most of the roles that came his way were side characters of aged men, and they didn't entice him. During the fourth Indiana Jones movie production, there were rumors of Connery's return, but of course these were just rumors. Connery later acknowledged he was tempted to play the part, and if he were to ever come back to movies, it would have been for an Indiana Jones movie. Since he chose not to accept the role, he's obviously honest about how much he's enjoying retirement. He once said it was all right to hit a woman. Connery is a loved personality all over the world, even now that his acting days are behind him. But many forget or don't know about his controversial statement on finding it acceptable to hit women. Back in 1965, during an interview with Playboy, he said there was nothing, quote, particularly wrong about hitting women. He then went on to explain you can't hit a woman like you hit a man, but a slap is quite okay if it's justified, and all other means of communication are exhausted, as though that makes it all right. On the matter. It was only when his first wife, Diane Cilento, accused him of physical and mental abuse that Connery quickly claimed innocence and changed his stance. He later even went so far as to claim there was no justification to ever raise your hand on a woman. Better late than never, but the timing seems awfully convenient. All said and done, Sean Connery is a legend when it comes to cinema, and he's delivered some evergreen films that have stayed with audiences decades later. He's the one and only original James Bond who laid the foundation for one of the longest-running movie franchises, and that too all while detesting the role. We hope you enjoyed these lesser-known facts about Sean Connery. Which was more surprising to you, to learn about his stance on hitting women, or to learn he didn't like playing James Bond? Let us know in the comments section. And before you go, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more fun content.